everyone. Welcome to G2 Integrated Solutions, What's in the Pipe. This is part 2 of our interview with Morris Burch, G2's Safety Management Systems expert. Thanks for joining us today, Morris. So pipeline operators have been doing pipeline risk management for years. How is safety management different?
There are so many different types of risk. There's business risk, it's called commercial risk, environmental risk, all those sorts of risks. So that's kind of the risk umbrella. With risks, with that sort of risk management, you do a lot of things that are similar with safety management. And safety, to a certain extent, is a subset of risk that looks at people, fatalities and injuries. So I think that's the basic difference. And there are international standards covering risk, and there are international standards and local standards covering safety. And there is a lot of commonality between the two. If you look at the elements, they map very nicely together.
So you mentioned earlier about quantifying risk. What exactly does that mean?
So quantification of risk is, so in its most basic sense, it's kind of a formula. So risk equals the probability of something happening times what actually happens. So that gives you a picture of risk in terms of, let's call it expected loss. If you can do that across your operations, then you know where to focus the effort. The most dangerous areas first, right? That's all very well, but we got safety risk, we got environmental risk, we got business risk, we got this risk. How do we, compare them, and how do we make more informed decisions around our risk profile so we can do something to manage our risk? So that's where this sort of comparing apples with oranges comes in. So I'm going to talk about it kind of hypothetically and what is done elsewhere in the world. So essentially, you put all of those risks together with a common unit of measure. It's dollars, right? So you pull them all together and you can assess the different consequences and the different risks, and that's where kind of the value comes from.
I'm just going to ask you one last question. Thanks, Morris. What do you recommend operators do when implementing a good safety management system?
Well, I think what they should do depends on where they are along the journey. And I've been engaging a lot with different companies in our industry. But you've got people that are starting to think about it, and you've got companies that are probably saying, not for us, we're a bit small, which I don't think is necessarily true. I think anyone can get a really simple system in place that can help them. I think to answer your question, you've got to really understand where they are. One of the most important things is defining what you really want out of it. Whether you really want a true system that will, drive down your risk, protect people, reduce the fatality rate, reduce the number of injuries, that sort of thing, or whether it's kind of the tick the box. And I think it's like get on board from the top of the organisation down and just start the change process to get a management system in place, and then make sure you do a proper review annually. Like, is it giving us really, what we signed up for? If it isn't, why not? You can improve so much just by a few simple things, I think is a message I probably would like to get across.
Thank you so much for coming and joining us today, Morris. If you have any questions or want to learn more about safety management systems, go ahead and leave us a comment or send us an email. Stay tuned for the next edition of What's in the Pipe. Keep it flowing, it's under control.